let's review Life of Chuck. What is going on, everybody? This is your boy, back at it with yet another review. And ladies and gentlemen, as I said before, let's review Life of Chuck. But before we get sexual, beginning of the review itself, guys, yes, I still have the whole entire green screen thing going on, so I apologize. And also, don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel, because number one, it's absolutely free. Number two, also maybe help with the YouTube algorithm, recommend the video to more people, and maybe they could join. And do feel free to comment your thoughts on Life of Chuck down below. But with that being said, guys, we're going to as well. I would just like to point out, yes, I know it doesn't look fully accurate to the movie. I'm actually filming this late at night where my parents are asleep with the dog, so I don't want to wake them up or anything to make sure for example, my tie is tied or to make the collar go down. So I apologize in advance. But before we get into the actual beginning of the review itself, guys, let's give a quick plot synopsis of the film, shall we? So, transition issues,
Charles Chuck Krantz experiences the wonder of love, the heartbreak of loss, and the multitudes contained in all of us.
So, as I said before, I tried to make it look as accurate to Chuck in the movie. So going into Life of Chuck, I only saw like 1 or 2 trailers, which was interesting to say the least, that I didn't get more than those. But yeah, as I said before, only saw 2 of them really. And from the trailers, I was going like, okay, this is a new feel-good type movie. I'll check it out for sure. I liked all the cast that you had in here that they showed in the trailers. As well, ironically, it's based off a Stephen King short story, even though it's not horror at all. Like, it's sci-fi drama. So I was going like, okay, that's interesting too, because I didn't know Stephen King did other books outside of the horror genre. So let's just see what I think of it, shall we? So, not transition issues, Amy, my bad. Let's get into the actual review itself, shall we? Alright, so starting off with good in here, the number one thing that I was expecting to be good, again, with some of the movies I see, is the cast that you have in here. So you have
3 of the casting choices that were cast as Chuck did a great job, particularly with Tom Hiddleston. He did great for the limited time he was on screen. You also have Chitwell Ejiofor, Karen Gillan, and so much more.
As well, do you think the main dance sequences, especially the one that they show in the marketing with Tom Hiddleston dancing, I thought was truly a great sequence in the movie, and definitely one of the highlights of the film for sure. And it was definitely interesting watching that, because I kept on, I don't know if Tom Hiddleston did it himself or he just had doubles do it, but if he did it himself and choreographed that on his own, he did a great job. So just like how he did a great job at acting in this movie. So he did really good job with the dance sequences in this film. I think also the character of Chuck is very, very interesting, particularly with the first story. You don't
really see him in physical form. You see pictures of him on signs and stuff and moving pictures, but you don't actually see him. Kind of like a Willy Wonka appeal, if you will. But then when you get his story later on, he becomes a great character as well.
So I did find him to be a very, very interesting character once you get to his backstory elements, and also he was interesting too with the first story, because how he just kept on popping up sporadically with everybody knowing who this guy is supposedly. So I liked that. As well, I do think the film is very, very, very unique in the story department, where I was just, even though I was excited to check this one out, it felt as if the story was going to be reminiscent of other things, but they make the story its own. It's actually, they make it basically very different compared to other, like, celebration of life movies, kind of like Forrest Gump. There's others up there, sure, for sure too, but I forgot what they were. pardon me, I'm filming this late at night. Yeah, it's a very, very unique film, and it was a very unique concept. So Stephen King, good job on making this a concept in and of itself. And the final good I have in here is all the sci-fi visuals. I think all of them looked cool. There's particularly, like, scenes
where you get brief glimpses of Tom Hiddleston with this sort of space style to it in the first short story that I thought looked really cool. As well, you do get some great shots of the stars, too.
And that is the good done. Now let's move on to the mixed aspects of the film, which I only have one. This is by the way, this is category I'm 50-50 on. And the one thing that I'm mixed on is just the pacing, because it is a slow movie, but I think for a movie that they're going for, it definitely warrants it. But I felt as if with the second and third parts of the story, it was warranted with Chuck's story, so it kind of focuses on that. But in the first part of the story that doesn't really involve him, but involves him popping up sporadically, I found that to be very, very slow. Because it might just be because I was expecting it to be all about Chuck, but it was just the two stories of the movie were based on Chuck, and then the other one was about this other thing. So I was a little 50-50 on that. Now that is the mix done. Now let's move on to the bad of the film, shall we? In the first story, it's not as good as the first two. It does establish some relationships you have in here. For example,
with Chitwell Ejiofor's character in Karen Gillan, where they're a past married couple, then also all the people Chitwell Ejiofor runs into. I just found it a little slow, to be honest. That might just be because I was expecting to see Chuck.
Along with that short story, I thought that, not short story, but along with the first story being my least favorite of the three, I also thought the ending was a little abrupt, where, for those who did not know, this movie basically goes backwards. So it's present to the past. So, like, present, middle, past. And the way they end basically the ending of the film, technically, if you think about it, since it's in modern day, I found it to be a little abrupt. I wish we had, like, maybe some explanation about what happened at the end, even though we probably know what ended up happening. So that bugged me a tiny bit while watching that first story after seeing the whole entire movie. But other than that, let's bring out the toxic meter. And this gets a not toxic, an A-. This was actually a really great film, and I think it's a slower movie, so keep that in mind if you're thinking of going to see this. If you're down for kind of a slower movie, be sure to check this one out. And don't expect a whole lot of Tom Holland in the movie, as I said before. If I said it before, in the short out of theater reaction, I said that. Because he's only has 20 minutes of screen time where he plays Chuck in the middle part of the story. So just keep that in mind. But other than that, that's just my thoughts on The Life of Chuck. Be sure to let me know your thoughts on this film down below. But with that being said, guys, I'll see y'all next one, everybody. Peace.